See that?
I mean, not video, not Josh. Legit best to have my own. some people probably stay because I mean they're still getting paid. Not me. Yeah, I'm good. Wait, I'm good. Come here. You're. Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis III, and I serve as your Student Government Association Election Commissioner. To do our introductions for tonight, I'm going to hand it off to our student body president, RJ Ware. RJ Ware is a criminal justice major, and he is, a political science major with a criminal justice minor. And there's no better person to tell you what SGA is than RJ Ware. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to our president.
Thank you, Luis. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. It's good to be with you all. Like Luis mentioned, my name is RJ Ware. I have the honor and the privilege of serving as the 94th president of the Student Government Association. Basically, SGA's job is to represent the students to the university. So that's in small ways. So I get a lot of emails from students regularly with issues they have with professors, staff, scholarships, financial aid, anything like that, and make sure that they get the services and the questions that they have answered. And then there's big things that we address. For example, one of our proudest accomplishments is a SGA resolution led to the construction of the Student Union building, including this room, the parliamentary room for SGA meetings. So that's basically what we do, and today we're basically just going to talk about the different areas of SGA that you can join and you can utilize to be able to fulfill that mission. So specifically for me, there goes my intro. Wait, there we go. Basically, my job is I'm responsible for all SGA operations, so I oversee all of the executive board operations, officers, to make sure that we're meeting our goals for the year. It's also my job to represent the organization at different events and speaking engagements and things of that nature. And also a part of my position, I sit on President McPhee's cabinet, and so that's all the people that report to him and run the institution. So I have a seat on that as well. And then practically, it's just my job whenever the university needs a student to look at something, give feedback on something, or give anything on behalf of the students. That's my responsibility. But I will now hand it off to our Vice President Kennedy.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see a packed room. As RJ said, my name is Kennedy. I do serve as you all's SGA Vice President. A little bit about me. I'm a political science major. I have a concentration in public policy and management and a minor in university honors. A little bit about my position. I am over our legislative branch in SGA. So that is, I'm the Speaker of our Senate and the Director of our Freshman Council. Any senators in the room? There's my senators, and then freshman counselors. Any freshman counselors? There you go. So I have the honor and I get to work with Freshman Council, a little bit about Freshman Council. It is an introductory program, as I like to call it, into SGA. It is made up of 40 freshmen, and you all get to work together to do multiple things. Legislation is a big part of SGA. A lot of the things that you will see come out of SGA will come from possible legislation, so resolution and bills. In Freshman Council, you get to be introduced to that and hopefully write legislation. You also get to be a part of committees, and you get to do a lot of other things like events and programming. Senate is another program that a lot of times freshman counselors will move into. Very similar, we have 40 students, we get to write legislation, there's more committees, we have some other officer positions, so freshman council, you have a president. In Senate, you don't have a president because I'm the Speaker of the Senate, so I'm kind of like the overall overseer of it, but we also have some other roles like parliamentarian, we have a secretary, committee chairs, and some other things of that nature. So it's a lot of fun. If any of y'all have any questions about how you can be a part of Freshman Council or Senate, please come see me. And as we kind of move on, if y'all want to know more about it, let me know and I can go more in depth since this is just the intro. But very excited to see you all, and I'm very glad that I get to serve in this position alongside of amazing executive board.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah, and I'm currently serving as the Chief of Staff of the Student Government Association. Previously, I was the Freshman Council President, and then last year I was a Senator, as well as Philanthropy Committee Chair and Speaker Pro Tempore of the Senate. A little bit about myself, I guess. I'm a junior. I'm studying psychology and political science on a pre-law track, and I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee. And then a little bit about my role as Chief of Staff. I have two kind of unofficial titles, and those are Executive Assistant to the President and Freshman Council Coordinator. So in my role as Executive Assistant to the President, I assist RJ with any number of tasks that he may need help with. I go with him to meetings. I help draft meeting agendas and minutes, scheduling, just all sorts of like administrative coordination things. And then as Freshman Council Coordinator, I assist Kennedy with this kind of the same type of tasks to do with freshman council, so administrative emails, things of that nature. So yeah, that's basically it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brianna Campbell, and I have the honor of serving as your communications director. A little bit about me: I'm a junior from Memphis, Tennessee, majoring in media management with a minor in mass communications. My position basically deals with all the fun stuff of SGA. I have the amazing opportunity to work with students on the marketing committee to create interactive videos as well as posts highlighting SGA events and other events on campus that we do collaborations with. I'm also the one that orders all of the SGA merch that you all see and all of the graphics that you see in this too. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you all here. My name is Jamison Spray. I serve as the SGA Attorney General. This is my second year in this role. Previously to that, I served on the Judicial Board, which I'll touch to in a second. But primarily under my role, one of my main internal tasks is I serve as an advisor to both the executive and legislative branches on our governing documents. So that's the Constitution and bylaws. I also hear traffic appeals, so for those pesky citations you get on campus, you are able to appeal those to SGA, and they'll either come to me or the Judicial Board. Can move on to the Judicial Board slide. I serve as the chair of the Court of Traffic Appeals, which is made up of students on the Judicial Board. That is a year term made up of 9 students. It's kind of one of the more low commitment things in SGA, meaning you only have probably on average 5 meetings a semester where they hold their Court of Traffic Appeals, where that provides students an opportunity to come in person to explain any tickets they might have and the reasoning for why those should be heard. Yeah.
Hey everybody. My name is Devin McClendon. I have the honor of serving as your SGA Events Director. A little bit about what I do. I help plan and coordinate all SGA events. So at the beginning of the year, we had Sip and Pain. We've had a movie on the football field. We have a tabling event that started Monday and will end tomorrow. But we'll have events all year. And committee. I have a committee that helps me plan events, to give me ideas for things that we want to do. And now more so in the spring. And yeah.
All right, our homecoming director and assistant events director, Sydney, she couldn't be here today. She's at a conference in San Diego, but I'm going to talk a little bit about her position. Our SGA is very unique to other student governments at universities in the country because we are actually responsible for planning homecoming for the university. So the homecoming director is literally responsible for planning homecoming activities on our campus whenever it shall be. It's going to be in September over the next couple of years. So Sydney was responsible for that this past homecoming. We actually are accepting applications for the 2026 homecoming director. If you're interested, please apply. The application link is on the SGA website or the link on our Instagram bio. And it closes this Sunday. But after homecoming passes, Sydney or whoever's in the position transitions to assistant events director so everything after homecoming to the end of the term, they assist whoever the events director is with their events. Oh, then there's the homecoming committee, and they, very similar to Devin's committee and Bree's committee, they just assist them with planning homecoming activities, coming up with ideas, the theme, other things like that.
Alrighty, and then as I said earlier, my name is Luis Maria III. I'm a senior majoring in accounting with minors in business administration from University Honors from Clarksville, Tennessee as well. I like to stay pretty active on campus, so I'm involved in the music fraternity and other organizations as well. I'm also a Blue Elite tour guide, so this is all to say that you can be involved in SGA as well as other outside commitments as well. And then in terms of what my role is, I am the election commissioner, so what that does is that anything elections-wise on campus, I'm responsible for, so think of like homecoming elections, SGA elections, any referendums that we have, and any voter registration drives that are on campus. And then I don't do this job alone, so I'll have the election commission help me out, whether it comes to tabling for elections or certifying the election results. They are a big part in that as well. And then I do have, one second. I do have the timeline for SGA elections for the spring, so just want to quickly kind of highlight that. So with these elections, basically the way these work is that at the start of the spring, I'll sit down with our SGA advisor, and I'll come up with a metric of saying, okay, this is the amount of seats that will be up for grabs in Senate for the next academic year. So basically, if you're interested in running for Senate, if you're already in Senate, you do have to run again. But if you're not in Senate, what you have to do is just kind of be mindful and aware of these dates. So January 20th is when the potential candidate applications open up on MyMT. And then January 27th is when these completed candidate packets are due on MyMT. January 30th is when you'll be notified via email, and then candidate banners. So if you want a candidate banner to be hung up in the stew, that will be due on, that'll open on January 31st. On February 3rd is when the mandatory candidate meeting is for SGA elections, so that will be in this room here. Basically, the point of that meeting is to kind of tell you what you should and what you shouldn't be doing in terms of elections, but also be a way for we'll have a marketing person come in and kind of they'll teach you how to do marketing, and we'll have a campaigning person come in. They'll kind of teach you how to do campaigning, which is pretty cool. On February 20th is when candidate banners are due to the CSOL office by 4 p.m. and then campaigning may commence on February 21st at 12:01 a.m. If you campaign before then, you all, I guess not eligible per se, but you risk you risk getting disqualified from running. February 23rd is when the executive officer debate is, so anybody running for president and vice president will debate and go up against one another in the Student Union atrium on the first floor at 6 p.m. And then from March 2nd to March 5th is when voting will occur from 10 a.m. on March 2nd to 11:45 p.m. on March 5th, and then you'll know whether or not you made Senate or Vice President or President on March 6th at noon. And then I guess this wasn't really covered in the kind of prior to this, but with Vice President and President, those two positions in SGA are elected, but with a position like Chief of Staff, Attorney General, Election Commissioner, Communications Director, Events Director, and Homecoming Director, those positions all you have to be appointed to those positions. So you'll apply, and then you'll go through an interview, and then based off that interview is whether or not you know if you have been elected or if you have been appointed to that position. And then this is a great link for you to kind of use if you want to kind of stay in touch. But I will now open the floor to any questions that you have for any of us. They can be about, us, kind of anything about our positions, roles, any kind of questions that you might have that kind of give you a better understanding and kind of more know-how and knowledge into what we do from day to day. But yeah, and you can feel free to use like the little microphones that you have in front of you. You just have to hit the speak button. Yep.
Hi, let's see. Hannah, you said your two positions as Chief of Staff are, you said Director of the Freshman Council, and what was the second position? Executive Assistant. Can you go into a little more detail about what that role entails?
Executive assistant.
Yes.
It's basically chief of staff. Chief of staff is a unique role because it's almost entirely up to the discretion of the president and what also the rest of the executive board officers' needs are. So there's not a ton of responsibilities besides like managing the archive that are like set in stone for the chief of staff from year to year. So really, it could be any number of things. It'll depend on who you would hypothetically serve as chief of staff for. But it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's just yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions? King.
Hi, how are you guys? My question is just as a whole, how has being in your positions helped you when it comes to, I guess, like your major or like your future endeavors of what you want to do in a real world aspect, career-wise?
Okay, so my major is media management, and my job as communications director is literally managing media. It's managing social media pages. I run PR for SGA basically, and that's kind of what my role entails. If I were to go to apply for communications director elsewhere, I would literally be doing the same thing, including running a committee or subdivisions under me. So I'm not really doing anything different than what I would do in a real world setting.
Serving as the SGA events director doesn't have anything to do with with my major at all, to be honest. But it's something I love doing. I love planning events. I love designing. I love putting things together. I love orchestrating, if you will. So it's just helped me kind of do something that I love. Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of echo Devin on that. I want to be an accountant, so elections have really nothing to do with accountancy, but it's, I guess, my role and I guess a lot of the different positions here on executive board have given me the access and the ability to like develop a lot of my soft skills, whether that's, how to write an email, how to talk to a professional, how to kind of what not to say and to say when you're talking to a professional and stuff like that is kind of things that I've learned that I would not be able to kind of have learned if I wasn't given the opportunity to be in this position.
Specifically for my job, there's obviously a lot of political science majors in student government, but I would say the opportunities that it has opened up job-wise post-graduation is notable. Just as the nature of the position, you have to make a lot of connections on campus and in the community. So I also echo what Luis said that it kind of helps you with your soft skills, And a lot of people that are hiring people out of college, they know that if you're in these type of positions, you've already developed a lot of the professional skills that you needed, like typing emails, interacting with people in a business setting, and things like that.
I would say very similar to RJ. I'm a political science major. This actually fits like perfectly with what I want to do when I graduate. I do want to get in to be an elected official or work in some capacity as a representative, senator, even starting not lower, but kind of like introductory, like city council or something like that. So with my role, luckily, I do get to have firsthand experience at that. Running Senate is very similar to what elected officials do, whether that's just learning Robert's Rule of Order and how to have order in a meeting, or even just meeting with the fellow senators and freshman counselors, talking about legislation, learning how to take an idea that someone has and putting it in writing and seeing it actually happen. But I would say above all, very similar to the reason why I got in political science, is I love getting to see the work that is somewhat done behind the scenes as the vice president done and help students. So if I translated that into when I graduate, it would be hopefully getting into a role as an elected official that can help communities or my constituents or whatever I'm doing. So this is literally just like a stepping stone right into what I want to do when I graduate college.
It's a great question. I wanted to be president of the United States when I was in like 5th grade, but ever since then, I've kind of realized that that's not the kind of role that fits my strength the best. I don't love being like the forefront, like the person in charge. I love being like second or third in line. I love doing the background, the things that often go unnoticed, to support that person in what they're doing. And so this role is exactly that. It's perfect for where I think my strengths lie. And so like say I could be chief of staff for like another elected official one day. It'd be the exact same kinds of things that I love doing. You know, whether I go into like more of the policy side or the legal side, it's really skills that are applicable everywhere. Every office needs somebody who can handle these types of tasks or wants to do the tasks that nobody else wants to do. So it's an invaluable experience.
I think everyone's made a lot of great points here, especially with Luis, with soft skills, just learning how to work in a professional environment and deal with those sort of things, as well as like what Kennedy touched on with like really understanding why we're here to help students and to make sure we're making the university the best place we possibly can. But I'd say the biggest takeaway for me in this job is not the job itself, but mainly the people, the students that we get to meet and work alongside and serve for every single day. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway I could ever have from this position, because I think I'm just invaluable. Like I'm very lucky to have met a lot of you in this room that I probably never would have met or talked to if I wasn't in SGA. So I think that's probably one of the biggest selling points that I think this organization could have.
Maria.
My question is for the ones that are graduating this year. For your next academic year of eBoard, what advice would you give? What advice would you give for people who want to run, or even for the people that end up being elected? Like, what do you want them to gain out of that experience?
So for advice for people that want to do it, I probably would say that the way that you do things matter. And one thing I have learned in this job is that people are always watching you and know you, and you might not even necessarily know them. Happens all the time. It's kind of creepy. I don't really like it that much. But it also is it's something that comes with being in these type of positions. So to really watch how you conduct yourself. And when you get to positions like this, you get a lot of benefits that I'm sure a lot of you know that come with some of these positions. But there are also drawbacks. For example, things like privacy, people having opinions of you. It's just kind of like if you run for actual political office, if you run for the President of the United States, you give up a lot of stuff, but you also gain a lot of stuff. And that's something I don't think people really understand, that there are drawbacks to having these type of positions. But yeah, to answer your question, Maury. Beautiful.
The piece of advice I'd give on that note is make connections early. I mean, it's not the worst thing, but one of the worst things you can do is when applications for all our positions open, it's just to submit an application and we're like, who is that person? I think you want to try to connect early, get to know us. If you're really interested in being the events director, reach out to Devin. See if you can shadow him. See if you can just hang out or get to learn more about what he does on a daily basis. Don't just wait for that application and then be like, I'm going to apply. I think your odds of getting the position would be much higher, and I think overall you'd be much more successful in that role if you were to get it, if you were to start out early by making the connections with the people already in that role.
I'll go Jaden and then Nia.
Good evening. How has being on e-board shaped you or changed you as a person?
Um, I've always been, I think I still am a very shy person, but these past 2 years of eBoard, I've kind of, in a sense, I've always had a shell, and I've been poked and prodded to come out of that show and find my voice. So I would say, if anything, and this is, I guess, it's not even really applicable to specifically eBoard, but just SGA as a whole. But like, I found a community and I found a group of friends and like family that's allowed me to grow, find my voice, and allowed me to be comfortable with who I am and what I stand for. So, yeah.
Bree.
Echoing what Louis said, we're a very diverse campus. As the largest student organization on this campus, we represent a lot of students and we've interacted with a lot of students. And personally, I can say that has made me a better person. Talking to people, I've learned how to talk to people, how to accept hearing people's problems, whether it be with us as an e-board, the organization as a whole, the university, and people we have no correlation to. I'm very accepting of feedback, advice, problems, all of the things that come with being in a leadership position. It opens you up to being in uncomfortable spaces, but being okay because you know you can handle it. Knowing that you can talk to these people in uncomfortable spaces. We've all sat in the president's meeting and talked to the president's cabinet and said, hey, students want to see you. That's not a comfortable setting, but we were all okay because we're sitting in these positions.
So it's difficult for me to put words to it, but one way that it has changed me in a good way, and I'll give a bad way also. I'll give the flip side. Kind of to Bree's point, it has allowed me to be exposed to different ideas and perspectives that I otherwise would not have, and I think that is a very valuable thing that it takes people a very long time in life to learn. The bad part of how it's changed me is I still have not gotten very good at managing the stress of the job. And so that's just something that you have to monitor. But yeah, thank you, Jaden, for the question.
That's a very nice question, Jaden. I would say for me, it has allowed me to start to grow more confident in my actual, we'll say, leadership qualities, and I would say qualities and strengths that I think help in this position. One thing is being the Speaker of the Senate. Senate meets every Thursday. I have to stand at that podium every Thursday and lead a room of sometimes more than 40 people that have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. And it can sometimes get hard to not get in your head or to get in my head about what everyone is saying and take that so personal that you feel like you are not possibly doing your job well, or that, should I have done this in the first place? But I think being in this position, having this first semester to really get into it, I have really grown more confident in the things that I know, the work that I'm doing, the times I sit in a meeting with different people. As Bree and RJ have said, it can be very hard to have to walk in a room and be in a room with people you probably never would have met if you didn't have this position. But to at least know that you were elected, or at least for me, RJ, elected in these positions for a reason, that, you know, people saw the qualities that you possibly didn't see in yourself, and that when you start doing it, you really start to see what other people see, and it can really help, because a lot of times, like RJ said, the stress can feel unbearable because you have so many eyes on you. But I would say that it's led me to sometimes block that out and just know that if I can walk out of my office or walk out of a meeting confident in the work that I've done and explain why I did it, then that's all that matters.
In terms of how this job has changed me, it's aged me quite a bit. There's just always something, and that's just all there is to it. But one thing I will say is that, for better or for worse, it's made me really not care what people think. That's a process that was going on for like a couple years beforehand, but this role has really kind of accelerated that. Because say I see something, like there's something being said about SGA or about a particular role or a person involved with it that I just know isn't true, whether that's, I don't know, on Yik Yak or something. And like, I know it's not true. And so, you just have to keep moving, keep serving the students, keep doing, put your head down and just keep doing your job. Because that's how you're successful in an organization like this, where, some people, you can't make everybody happy. And so some people will be happy with the decisions that are made here. Some people won't be, and that's just simply the way it is.
I'd say that SGA is probably my main connection to campus. How I've got to where I am is from in this organization. Little freshman year Jameson, he was definitely what do they call it? The suitcase kids or whatever. I came to class, I waited till Friday night, and I went home. I didn't do anything on campus. My sophomore year, I was like, well, let me do something, I guess. I'm here, I might as well make the best of it. So I joined the judicial board, and I got to meet new people, serve along people, and do work that I felt was important. And then I somehow ended up here. Lord knows how that happened, but it's been a wonderful experience, and it's definitely changed me in ways I could have never expected or even necessarily describe. But I think I'm much better off for it, and I think it could have that effect on pretty much anyone.
Just to piggyback off of what everybody said, being in this position has helped me grow more comfortable being uncomfortable. Taking risks, having conversations with people that were like made me uneasy, on edge, having to deal with people who can be difficult at times, committee work and different facets of SGA. But it truly has grown me, matured me, taught me things about myself that otherwise it'd probably take a while to know. And I'm more than grateful for this organization.
And you had a question, Nia?
As e-board members, how do y'all balance your school life with e-board?
Oh, I'll answer this question real quickly. We just don't. No, I'm joking.
We don't.
It's hard. It's hard. You want to go?
I can give a serious answer. You just have to be very disciplined and organized. You just have to give up some things. I think the best way I can explain it is, you know how you get that like burst of energy sometimes to do homework or like clean or something like that? So when you get that burst of energy, it's during the day and we're in the office and we work. And then we work and we work and we work. And then we're done with that and the energy's gone. And then you realize you have homework and you have other stuff to do. So that sometimes is difficult. So it's very easy to procrastinate and just push it down. So you have to have a lot of discipline, a lot of long nights. So yeah, that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah, I would say balance. You have to really look at your schedule and figure out how you can not forget about your classes, because I'm someone that strongly believes that before anything else, I came here as a student. Before anything else, I'm here to graduate. So I would say you definitely have to try to find a balance. For me, my classes are all online this semester, so that has somewhat helped because all the classes are the same each week, the assignments, the due dates, all of that. So it's like I know kind of how to split my time to where I can put, like RJ said, during the day, I can focus on my vice president duties, and then towards the evening or night, I can log into D2L and get started. So I think it's just a balance, and when you feel like it gets overwhelming, you have to kind of figure out, why do I feel overwhelmed? Do I need to possibly change the day I work on this to here? But it is very hard. Being brutally honest, it is hard.
Yeah, reflecting what other people have said, there's really no perfect way to do it in a job that is so, like, you are in the Student Government Association as well as being a student. Like, there's no real way to, like, totally separate the two. But very practically, what you just have to find what works for you, like a system. For me, that's Google Calendar. Like, would not know what to do without it. So just find yourself a system, whether that's like a note in your notes app or like a planner or a calendar, to figure out what you need to do each day. But yeah, like other people have said, it's never gonna be perfect. You might spend the whole year trying to find that balance, especially when your boss can call you at every hour of the day. But you know.
This is probably the part where what we say sounds a bit scary. I'd say don't let it scare you off. Like, we're being honest with you because we want you to know what you might be getting yourself into. But at the same time, we all do it, we manage it. I'll be the first to say that I am not a good student. And and I manage to do both. Like, I do well in my academics, and I say I do well in this job. Well enough. Hey, graduate in spring. My advisor told me so. So if I don't, it's her fault. But anyway, it's like Hannah said, finding your system, and it will happen. Like, after your first after school start, the job can be kind of weird because you start in the summer, so you get into your routine of doing things, and then boom, all of a sudden you have to go to classes. You're like, wait, I'm not ready for this. But after a few weeks, you definitely get used to it, and it's not bad. And you're still just a student at the end of the day. Same things you've been doing. You now just have a job on top of it, which I'm sure a lot of you work anyway. So it's the same thing, same way you balance it with any other thing in your life. You just have to find which the priorities and rank what really needs to be done now, and address things as they come, and you'll be okay.
I'll add something real quick. Also, very practically, I was very involved in a lot of different things my like freshman and sophomore year, kind of. But definitely this year I've had to scale back on all the other kind of minor commitments. And this year I have several commitments, but like only like a handful of main commitments. Because that you just have to, like RJ has said, you just have to give some things up very practically. There's just not enough hours in the day to maintain everything. And so just don't be afraid to kind of scale back on some other things that just may have to fall to the wayside as a like natural result.
This is for anybody. You don't have to have a position like this, but find an accountability buddy. As you get in your major, you're going to meet people that take the same class as you. I've taken the same class with the same two people every semester since I started my major classes. Like, I know when I walk into class, I'm going to see these people, make friends, be friends with these people. These people, they take classes together all the time because they're the same major. They can hold each other accountable. In this position, you need somebody that says, well, just because y'all don't do a good job at just because, anyway, I take that example back. Don't use them as an example. Find somebody that's going to hold you accountable. Find somebody that's going to text and say, hey, did you do this assignment? Because if you didn't do it, they just told you to do it. And now y'all can do it together. I did that yesterday. With TJ.
I would say create to-do lists, because at the end of the day, you have a commitment to your academics and to everything that you signed up for. So try to knock something out every day in every facet of your life. But yeah.
I think I can offer two pieces of advice with this one. Let me see if I can. Yeah, compartmentalization. It's going to be very easy for your school stuff to get tossed into your SGA stuff and for like everything to kind of overlap. It happens to all of us, but just make sure that you're very intentional with how you want to separate everything out. because it'll make your life so much easier, because you're not having to worry about, oh, I've got to send out this SGA email in like the middle of my class while I'm taking an exam. So things like compartmentalization are very integral and very efficient when you're doing your job. And then it wasn't mentioned, but just be sure to take some time for yourself, because you're not always going to be operating at 110%. I'll be the first to say, right now I'm very burnt out. I'm looking forward to the end of the semester. So there are going to be times where you're burnt out, where your mental health is in the decline. So that's when you need to take some more time for yourself. So that way you're able to later come back. Because at the end of the day, like Kennedy said, you might be a student leader, but you have to pay attention to that student part first before you can lead others. This is true. Yeah, great question.
What is one major campus issue that previous SGAs haven't solved, but how are you all addressing it differently?
That haven't been solved.
Yeah, that wasn't solved, but that you are working towards.
A couple of things. I wouldn't say that previous administrations haven't tried to address some issues, but I think, as everyone knows, especially the upperclassmen in the room, there are some systemic issues at MTSU that are difficult to solve. Just like, for example, just because we're the second biggest university in the state, we obviously get compared to Tennessee and Knoxville a lot, and the student participation in campus life, athletics, obviously it's very different compared to here to there. I think it's something that's improving post-COVID, but we're nowhere near where we should be. And kind of the way that we try to address that is all the campus departments that are responsible for student events and programming. We really try to hold their feet to the fire to be more, how do I put this nicely? Revolutionary, different, dynamic. Stop doing the same thing every year. Would everybody kind of agree with that assessment? Okay. So there's kind of that. And then the second thing I would probably say is mental health. It's accelerated over the last couple of years. Obviously, we had a suicide on campus last year, and that really, Forest Hall, but that's just out of our hands. That's in the state's hands now, and they're just refusing to act. But yeah, did y'all have anything to add? Did y'all have anything to add? Okay, thank you for the question.
She's talking about storm drains. Who will we contact to add storm drains?
Facilities.
Joe White.
Our facilities within the storm drains for the cities.
For the city.
She's talking about adding storm drains because stuff gets flooded. When the city had, well, that's what she was talking about. It's okay. Next question.
Ryan.
I kind of want to add on to what she just said. As a senator myself, I know we are here to serve and help the student body make the university better. So just because we are on the Senate does not mean you cannot reach out. Yeah, please reach out to the SGA. Like if you know a senator on campus, or just send, I believe Kennedy would be the right person to email for any concerns you may have on campus. Our meetings now have a student comment period at the start of our meeting where you can come and voice your concerns to the campus. To the Senate. So yes, if you have a problem on campus, we are here to essentially serve the student body. So come out and make your voice heard.
To piggyback off Ryan really quickly, for anybody in the room, Senate meetings and freshman council meetings are always open to the public. The session has ended now for the semester, but in the spring, freshman council meets every Wednesday in this room 4:30 to 6, and so does Senate on Thursdays 4:30 to 6. You can come in here, you can get to see the senators and freshman counselors, see how the meeting goes. So if you do have any ideas and you don't really know where to go, who to get in contact with, you can see it firsthand. So, or just shoot me an email, you can come to the office, either way.
Any other questions?
So, because we're a university entity, we're expected to be the student representation at a lot of university events. They invite us to a lot of things. On top of the things internally with SGA, as for Kennedy, she has 2 meetings a week guaranteed every week, on top of the committees in those groups that have committee meetings, events, internal paperwork, all of the things. For RJ, he's expected to show up every Monday at 8 a.m. to go sit with the president's cabinet and listen to them give reports. We show up with student affairs because we're a part of student affairs. They invite us to all of their events. We have officer reports that we have to do for the university to say that we're actually doing work. Jameson hears every single traffic appeal. Those go straight to him. People come in the office with traffic appeals. They called the phone. Hannah has to deal with all of us on top of being a student, on top of being director of freshman council. Luis is in charge of elections. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when it's election time, he get 11 million applications. He has to go through those with his commission and say, this person can do it, this person can't. This is what our Constitution says. This is what their application says. Devin is in charge of planning events. For example, Student Appreciation Week. He's remodeled it to make it fit him, but stuff is expensive. We still have to figure out budgeting. We have to work with the university to get merch, food. It's really difficult to get food. And any other campus entity that we decide to partner with, like the REC, because everybody is operating in their own little area, but we're expected to operate with everybody because we represent y'all. Anybody else got anything at?
I was just going to add to that I think for each one of us, like Bree said, it's just really the internal part that can become very hard to kind of not manage, but it can take you away a lot of times from remaining just that student. It's good because the responsibility is there for all of us to hold ourselves accountable because of the recognition we have as a department on campus. But just on paper, in our Constitution, how much is under each of our roles, just weekly, day by day, it's a lot. And it's like, at times you can kind of feel like you're not a student, just kind of like you're a student that has all this responsibility. But at the end, like Bree said, it is because we are serving you. I'll say, especially for me, on paper and on our roster, a large part of our student government numbers comes from Senate and freshman council. So that alone, my responsibility is going to be very heightened because I'm over 2 of the large entities that bring us a lot of our growth. So it's really good because, we get to see our students involved, but then kind of on the back end, it's a lot of responsibility. And it can become very stressful, like you said, to kind of go between being that student leader and that student.
And something else, it's just like the nature of the job itself. Like when you're a freshman counselor or a senator, unless you have like an officer position within those, you kind of just show up to the meetings and you participate, and that's great. Like there's nothing wrong with showing up, participating, and leaving, because that's exactly what you signed up and are asked to do. But when you sign up for something like an e-board position, it is a job in every sense of the word. It is very much a job. Like any other job, like in the real world, you struggle with like work-life separation. And then somebody said something about just like the internal things. It's just a lot. Like I said before, there's just always something. So it just makes it, anytime people are involved, things get messy. So
That kind of goes to the point of, we got into this conversation at ASGA, this conference we go to in D.C. when I was with Kennedy and Hannah. I don't want to say it turned into an argument, but one of the schools tried to throw shade at us because we provide scholarships and pay and other benefits to our SGA officers, and they were trying to figure out why we do that. The reason that we get that is because this is a job. And if you're in one of these positions, you do not have the capacity to work outside of school. And so we have to receive some sort of supplemental help with our tuition and with pay, because also what we're doing is a service. And we don't even get paid that much. And so, exactly. So that's why it's really important that we receive those benefits. So, yeah.
I want to add and piggyback off of that, planning. Like, we all have to plan weeks, really months in advance for everything that we do. Booking the space, buying the food, supplying the merch, all the things. Planning takes time. It really does. And then when RJ can't be somewhere, he will enlist his team to show up for him in his stead. So it's a lot at times, but we make it work together.
AM for this. I'm breaking. That's in December. Oh, did y'all want me to add to what y'all? I feel like I started it. We were waiting on another type.
What's the biggest goal that y'all would like to achieve or y'all have achieved on being on the e-board?
Specifically for me, there's a couple of things. One, there are changes coming to the university in the near future. The president likely will be leaving. Other VPs were leaving. The school, if I was to predict, the school will look very, very different if you were to come here 5 years from now compared to today. And I am trying to get this organization ready for that transition, because whenever a new administration comes in, the expectation for a student government will change. With President McPhee, just to be brutally honest, I know some people aren't a fan, but one of the things that is good about him is that if we say something, he listens. If we say there's top-down system, there's a lot of respect for student government on this campus. And whenever the changes come to this university that are coming, I don't know if that will go back to the mic. I don't know if that will be the expectation anymore, and SGA needs to be responsive and ready for that. But also, I would probably just say mental health is my biggest goal, and there should be a couple of things we're announcing in the next couple of months in regard to that. So stay tuned.
I'll try to make mine quick. I would say that for me, just with my role, a big goal that I've had and still have would be to find ways that students can just understand what we do in SGA better. When we come in here and we say a lot of our work comes from possibly the legislative side, not all students understand that. It's easy for us to because we're in political science, but students may not understand that. So how can you meet students where they're at so they can understand there is work being done to serve you, and this is how. And then this is how you can also continue to make an impact by coming to us. I would also say just showing students that you don't have to be intimidated of us. I always say that we are students just like you. If I take this quarter zip off, if I get out of my business clothes when I'm in a Senate meeting, I am a student. I still have to register for classes. I still have similar stresses that everybody else has as a student. So that's a goal that I would say is to just keep making sure students know that you don't have to be scared to come talk to us. If you don't feel comfortable possibly going to a department about an issue, you can come to us and we can figure out ways that your issue or problem can get solved. But I would say those are still my main two goals, serving in this position.
One of the goals, or I guess the goal that I set over the summer, because the nature of my job is so internally specific and focused on serving just the executive board as a whole, I made goals that focused on us bonding as a cohesive team. And so that meant scheduling times where we would hang out completely outside of the SGA office, outside of SGA, and just in a very unofficial capacity. And we've done a couple of those things. We're trying to go to a hockey game in the next couple of weeks before the semester ends. Just things like that where it's we're off this campus, not talking about work or anything. Because that was very important to me. as the chief of staff is that we not only do our jobs, but we do our jobs really well. And part of that is very simply just getting along with each other.
Well, obviously, a big issue I work with a lot is parking. It's a big problem on this campus, big problem on pretty much every campus. I'd say a lot of students are concerned about it, and sometimes, like, I do my part in helping people figure out information and whatnot, but sometimes it can be hard when people legitimately don't understand things. So something else will be rolling out next semester. We're still in the planning process now. I want a way to inform the student body more about parking things so that you aren't just in a free for all and sometimes not understand, like, there's a ticket on my car. Why? So really more informing students on policies. This is another goal that I set over the summer when we all kind of set long-term goals, something we'd like to achieve. This is one of those things. Again, it's kind of hard to explain now because it's still working out, but some way to engage with the student body, to inform them on parking policies in a way, and just to make that information maybe more accessible or just more well known, so that hopefully everyone gets less parking tickets, because wouldn't that be wonderful? So.
Two goals that I had for my position at the beginning of the year, and I'm still working on bringing one of those things in, is increasing commuter students' participation in SGA events. We have a lot of community students, so I want to allow them opportunities, probably incentives for coming out. I think that'll be a great way to do that. And then another thing is, or was, and that I have done, is make student appreciation weeks, like split it up. So in the past, we had a student appreciation week every semester. It's now a student appreciation day every month. So it's a good way to space out events so students aren't overloaded. Yeah.
Oh, for me, it was making more interactive videos. I had the greatest opportunity to start Mini Mic Mondays with my committee, and I have thoroughly enjoyed getting the answers from students. Hopefully, one of y'all will be featured in our next video.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have? Sorry. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, two more.
Mine's a short question. So, if you're a senator, can you also be on the judicial board? No. Okay.
It's very simply like separation of powers. So you have the legislative, executive, and judicial. So legislative is going to be your Senate and freshman council. Executive is president and us, and then the judicial branch is the judicial board. So you kind of have it's the same thing with the election commission. You're not able to serve on another body as if you're on the election commission as well.
Thank you.
You can be a senator or a freshman counselor though, and still serve on a events committee, marketing committee, or homecoming.
And then you had a question.
Thank you, by the way. One question I had was, do you guys have like internships? what's some different opportunities that this would bring? That's a good. Yeah, there we go.
So like to get more involved, SGA? Well, like right now, if you want to join right now, Kennedy, and I'm sure you can talk about this when we're wrapping up, has some seats available in Senate. I think if you're interested, especially in one of our jobs, or to be the most involved in SGA, being a senator is probably the best way to go. Okay. You can join the committee, so you can join Bree's committee for marketing committee, and then Devin for the events committee. We do have an internship program, but right now it is exclusively for SGA members to be able to intern in our office. But yeah, right. But I would recommend you join Senate. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. For anybody in the room, our Senate does have seats open. We have some graduating seniors that will be graduating, so I have some seats. And then same with freshman council, I may have some seats open in the spring that we can appoint. If you're interested in that, you can talk to me after the informational, or you can just send me an email. It's sga.vp@mtsu.edu, and I can go more in depth about what your role would be as a senator or freshman counselor, the time commitment, all of that. But there are seats, like RJ said, I would start there. And then if you possibly can't make those time commitments for whichever one you fit, I would then look at the committee option.
Any other questions? Who has the sign-in sheet? Is that still going around? It's back there. Okay, sweet. If you haven't already, please sign in. But I just want to thank everyone real fast for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, we'll be staying just a little bit after. And feel free to grab any merch. Yes, take one, take two, take 3,000, but feel free to grab anything. And if you have any questions for us, please feel free to come down. But thank you all for coming.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.